At the behest of their best friend, a young couple arrive in Haiti to wed. Yet, they sense unease from their carriage driver as they travel the foreign land. Voodoo magic is causing the dead to rise. The year is 1932, and White Zombie had just released to theaters across the states. It wasn't a major success, nor was it popular with the critics, but it did help introduce an idea into the public conscious: The Walking Dead. White Zombie was the first film to feature zombies which are a far cry to what we currently think of as zombies. It was inspired from the Kenneth Webb Broadway play Zombie, in which a rich plantation owner is brought back to life as a zombie by a zombie master, supposedly to get at the plantation owner's fortune. The play was, in turn, inspired by the 1929 book The Magic Island. The Magic Island being the supposed account of the author W.B. Seabrook's travels to Haiti. Here he wrote about his accounts witnessing voodoo rituals and the Haiti superstitions of zombies. While the book mostly focuses on his travels, it's credited with bringing the idea of zombies to the West. Also of note, W.B. Seabrook was apparently a cannibal and tried cooking and eating human flesh after meeting African cannibals. I guess you could say he was kind of a zombie himself. Notably, the zombies of White Zombie followed the trend of their Broadway and novel counterparts. It was voodoo magic that brought the dead back to life, with the master controlling them. The zombies of White Zombie are depicted acting like slaves, with most of them helping to run a mill and otherwise following their master's commands, with absolutely no cannibalistic tendencies. In 1934, a major event would impact American cinema: the Motion Picture Production Code, or the Hays Code. In an effort to self-censor and prevent government interference in Hollywood, motion pictures began strictly abiding by a set of moral codes. This brought about a set of rules regarding violence, potentially influencing a lack of evolution in the zombie genre. After White Zombie, early Hollywood began to run with the idea of these reanimated corpses brought back to life by voodoo. Films such as 1943's I Walked with a Zombie showcased better production values and acting, as film was truly evolving from the silent era. However, zombies themselves remained slave-like beings. This was until the 1960s. In part, due to foreign competition, the Motion Picture Production Code was on its way out, with film ratings coming into place as we now know today. And with that came a complete evolution of the zombie genre. 1965 brought The Plague of Zombies, a film still showcasing reanimated corpses brought to life by voodoo, but with a new twist. The zombies featured finally looked more like decaying corpses as opposed to humans in a trance. Then, in 1968 came perhaps the most influential zombie film of all time, George A. Romero's Night of the Living Dead. When you think of zombies, what's the first thing that comes to mind? They eat humans, they tirelessly chase after them, and obviously you have to shoot them in the head, although burning them is always the best option. And of course, they crave brains. All of these zombie tropes originated from this one defining film. Well, except for zombies eating brains. We'll come back to that. So, sans eating brains, we learn all about the living dead as they chase down Barbara to a seemingly abandoned house, where a group of mostly strangers hole up to try and survive the night. As I mentioned before, they attack and eat humans, but not only that, they're also infectious. If you're bitten by the living dead, you too will eventually turn into one, as demonstrated by Barbara's brother. For some reason, once infected, they don't attack each other, but they do relentlessly chase down humans, although at a notably slow pace, usually not doing more than walking. Shooting these creatures won't stop them unless it's specifically a bullet to the head, and as I mentioned earlier, fire is the best option, with the zombies also being afraid of fire in general. Despite the film's major success, especially as an independent film, and laying the groundwork for what it meant to be a zombie, it wouldn't be until the late 70s and 80s that zombies truly took over cinemas. A decade after the release of Night of the Living Dead, George A. Romero returned with another bombshell that would truly ignite a zombie fever in cinema: 1978's Dawn of the Dead. The zombie lore is the same as Romero's previous outing, however, this time his film takes place a few weeks after the initial zombie outbreak has taken place, with his protagonist eventually holding up inside a mall, as it has all of the essentials they need. This began a tonal shift in Romero's films and many zombie films that would follow. While Night of the Living Dead featured humans fighting humans, and on occasion causing their own demise, Dawn of the Dead featured more of this commentary about humanity, as well as heavy themes of anti-consumerism. The special effects have received a significant upgrade. While the zombie makeup was fairly generic, as the zombies had general gray face, the violence had received a major upgrade. With Dawn of the Dead grossing $50 million worldwide, zombie films became a worldwide phenomenon. In 1979, the Italian film Zombie 2 was released. It was marketed in Italy as a sequel to Dawn of the Dead, released in Italy as Zombie, and directed by Lucio Fulci. Zombie 2 brought the gore and effects of zombie films to a whole new level, with the rotting corpse look of the zombies used in the film being utilized in more modern zombie media such as Resident Evil and The Walking Dead. The gore in this film is honestly on a whole other level from previous films, so I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to show you why. Not only that, but the greatest duel mankind has ever seen. Zombie vs. Shark. There's also a whole lot of nudity I don't feel like blurring while editing, so we're going to move on to the next important zombie film, which also has a whole lot of nudity I don't feel like blurring. 1985's The Return of the Living Dead. While the film was a horror comedy, with many elements poking fun of the zombie mythos and trends in horror films, it also set up another hugely influential element to how many people think of zombies.
Why do you eat people?
Not people. Brains.
Brains only.
Yes.
Why?
The pain.
This was when the idea of zombies eating humans, specifically for their brains, was introduced. Not only that, but the zombies in this film are far smarter than their predecessors, with the ability to talk and problem solve. Most importantly, while there's often a debate whether zombies should have the ability to run or just walk, I'm on Team Run, as I find it far more intense and realistic as to why they'd be terrifying. This was the first example I could find of running zombies. Also important to 1985 was a film that should be familiar to any fan of Stranger Things, Day of the Dead. Once again, George A. Romero returned to the genre he practically invented, once again with humans causing their own downfall, but this time really emphasizing that theme, as it's scientists in the military who are at odds here. The film also introduced the idea of zombies not being entirely dumb, with Dr. Frankenstein, as he's nicknamed, having the pet project of treating one zombie, Bub, like a dog, and essentially teaching him through positive reinforcement. Human food as a reward. This era saw far more zombie films being created, with Lucio Fulci's Gates of Hell trilogy among others. But after this string of films, zombies would mostly die down after the 80s until a more recent resurgence.
No!
After a relative decline in the zombie genre in cinema, 2002's 28 Days Later brought it back full force. The film showcases an abandoned London 28 days after the outbreak of an infectious disease, rage, that has caused people to become, for all intents and purposes, zombies. And yes, I'm aware some people don't think these are technically zombies, but look, it's a zombie film, I don't know what to tell you. Originally, they were brought back to life by voodoo magic, and then eventually by science and sometimes supernatural forces. I think this classifies as being close enough. The rage-infected zombies of 28 Days Later differed from most previous zombie films in that they could now run fast and relentlessly. While, as mentioned earlier, running zombies were first seen in 1985's The Return of the Living Dead, this was what truly popularized the concept. Cut to 2004, and a Zack Snyder director remake to Dawn of the Dead written by James Gunn. This time around, the intensity of the zombies was more so a feature over the original, with the fast, relentless zombies of 28 Days Later merging identities with the original. 2004 also saw the release of Shaun of the Dead, still regarded as one of the best comedic takes on the zombie genre. While it helped influence later genre spoofs in general, along with 28 Days Later and Dawn of the Dead, the trilogy of films truly brought zombies back into the mainstream awareness. As this was the era of the internet, the resurgence in zombie popularity also brought about a resurgence in zombie discussions, this time online, and with it, zombie survival guides and kits. With the comic/show The Walking Dead, and of course continued popularity of the video game franchise Resident Evil, zombies have become a mainstay in popular horror, with the rules for survival ever changing. 2016 saw the release of Train to Busan, a Korean zombie horror flick that upped the ante even further. Train to Busan features its zombie victims twitching around and the infected usually almost instantly transforming. The zombies are some of the most intense we've seen in cinema and are absolutely relentless, chasing down their prey as they fling themselves off heights and sprint over each other to get one more bite. But in another change to zombie mythos, these zombies can't see without light and only attack upon sight. And for my money, it's actually my favorite zombie film I've seen so far, and one that I truly hope inspires zombie movies to follow. From voodoo magic reanimating the dead to perform slave labor, to zombies showcasing the ills of society, schlocky over-the-top gore fests, or truly terrifying, infectious, and sprinting living dead, zombies have evolved over their near century in cinema. Of these eras and styles, what has affected you the most? And how do you hope to see the genre either evolve or return to its roots in the future? And while many may feel the genre has been played out, another Train to Busan could just be what it takes to completely revolutionize the genre. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.